Okay, just a quick update. My name is Douglas Laxton, and I'm the president of the Better Policy Project. And for many, many years, I was the head of the economic modeling division in the research department of the IMF, effectively coordinating surveillance and so on. And one of the things that we would always think about, something that would be a disaster scenario, would be shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, because that would represent, as it has represented, the largest supply shock in the history of the oil market and so on. So how bad can this get? Well, if it were to last a couple of weeks, oil prices currently, Brent is currently about $100 right now, so it's up about 30%. That would raise the U.S. CPI inflation by about 6/10 of a percentage point if it was just purely focused on raising gasoline prices and refined petroleum products and so on. If that were to spill over into other prices, then that could be a bit more significant. So maybe, it might cause a pause in the Fed cutting the rate. So that's not going to be the end of the world and so on. But if this were to continue to the point where there were certain economies in Asia that were being cut off of oil, since oil is also used as a critical input into the production of things like transportation and shipping services, that could stop economic activity again. So this is a situation where the volatility in oil markets are well founded because the expected duration of long this shock lasts could really affect behavior, in the sense that people could start hoarding oil. And if oil doesn't get to the part of the economy that is actually needing it, like transporting our goods and services from one place to the other, then it shuts down all that economic activity. It's not just a small marginal effect because the price of transportation has gone up significantly, but it's actually cutting back on production. So anyway, we have a few economists at the Better Policy Project that are mapping out various scenarios, and they will release them tomorrow. But stay tuned, and you will have some more quantitative results about possible scenarios that could be relevant for the global economy. But to put it in a nutshell, this is the biggest shock that the oil market has seen in the history of the entire oil market. So, yeah, so be careful when you're thinking about your investment decisions, or you're thinking about policies, because this could potentially be a really big one. At the same time, if it were to disappear, if they were to somehow figure out a way of opening up the Strait of Hormuz and ensuring that boats could pass through there safely and could get insurance and so on, then this could be over in a week or two, or at least the first phase of it. There will be this long drawn out phase, because once you start doing things like shutting oil in, or if you wind back the production in your refineries, it's not straightforward to basically just gear up production and so on. So there's that to be considered, but it would still be a small, manageable shock hitting the global economy. If this were to last, this could have dramatic implications on the global economy. You could see crashing equity prices, price of oil rising to 150 $200 a barrel easily, if you start talking about shutting oil supply down by 20% of the market. That has a potentially dramatic implications for the global economy. And more importantly, as I said, if it gets to the point where some people just don't get oil for some critical processes like transporting goods to markets, that's going to really affect the real economy in a way that we've never really observed before. Because in the past, most of the time when we've had oil price shocks, the pricing mechanism had still functioned. It just that you had to pay more for your oil. But if it gets to the point where you can't actually get the oil, that could be cataclysmic for the global economy. So stay tuned. You'll see the full report tomorrow.